in Shakopee.
When you look at the schedule, the only game that they probably won't win is at the New York Giants. That'd be really tough. But Chicago and San Francisco are at the Metrodome, so who knows? 9-7, 8-8, all very possible. Rich Gannon has actually looked better in some games the Vikings have lost, but his numbers will look nice in the paper tomorrow regardless. With the Vikings trailing 7-0 against Seattle, Gannon tied it late in the first quarter, finding Hassan Jones from 8 yards out. Gannon hit 6 different receivers on this day. This time he goes to Anthony Carter to put the Vikings ahead in the second quarter, 14-7. But with less than a minute to go in the half, the Hawks tied it when Dave Craig connected with his most dangerous target, Brian Blades, 14-all at intermission. Seattle had a 21-14 lead with just 2.5 minutes to go. 3rd and 2 for the Vikes from their own 42-yard line. That's when they gave it to Herschel, and Herschel did a hurdle and then left the Seahawks in his wake. 58 yards to deadlock the game at 21. Seattle had time to move in for a field goal to win, but Dave Craig's pass bounces away from Paul Scansey and into Joey Browner's arms. The Vikings pushed it in a little closer for Fuad Revez. His 24-yarder gave Minnesota its 3rd straight win, 24-21 in the Kingdome. And after the game, Jerry Burns talked about that 3rd down handoff to Herschel.
Well, you know, it was great. It was, 3rd and 2 there, and I told Tommy, I said, well, I'd go for it. I said, we got 2 downs to make it, and then he called a 21-fold, and when I saw Herschel go through there and he got by that linebacker, he sort of half jumped over him. I knew nobody'd catch him, but he's got great open field speed, so it was a great run.
And Mark Rosen and Dave Huffman are standing by in our studio. Herschel Walker, Scott Studwell, they'll join him from the airport, just getting back from Seattle. All that coming up on Vikings Sports Sunday up next. Of course, up next for the Vikings, the Chicago Bears. The defense of the Bears dominating Denver for most of the game, but John Elway led a drive in the 4th quarter, tied it himself with that TD run. Kevin Butler missed a last-second field goal in regulation that would have won it, but redeemed himself in overtime with this kick. The Bears are 9-1, winning at Denver, and the Broncos are in trouble. In Phoenix, Green Bay quarterback Don Mikowski knocked out of the game in the first half a strained throwing shoulder, but there was still some magic left. The Pack rally from a 21-10 deficit, 16 seconds left. Anthony Dilweg hits Ed West to complete a last-minute drive and a victory, 24-21 over the Cardinals. Elsewhere, San Francisco won its record 18th straight game today. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers the victim this time. Vintage Niners, Joe Montana to Brent Jones. The combination hooked up twice for touchdowns in the first half. And Roger Craig, the missing weapon much of the season because of injury, he scores here. That's sealed at 31-7. The other unbeaten team, the New York Giants, they put 20 first-half points on the board and made it stand in a 20-0 victory over Detroit. Phil Simms off the scramble to Mark Ingram. He makes the nice cut. It's a 57-yard scoring play. The rich get richer. The Lions are falling out of the race as San Francisco cruises, and so do the Giants. December 3rd, those teams meet, possibly both still undefeated on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia wins on a last-second field goal, 24-23 over Atlanta. And Dallas, a big day for Aikman. 2 touchdown catches for Irvin, 24-21 over the Rams in Los Angeles. Steve Walsh turned in some impressive numbers, but New Orleans continues to struggle. Walsh hit Brett Perriman for the first score of the game. He threw for 274 yards, but overshadowed by Washington's Mark Rippon. Back from a knee injury, 4 touchdown passes. That's the way to come back. This one to Art Monk. The Skins win at 31-13, staying in the forefront of the wild card race. And Warren Moon with a big day, 5 scores. Houston over Cleveland, 35-23. Kansas City hammers San Diego, 27-10, and Buffalo blanks New England, 14-0. The Jets lose in Indianapolis, 17-14, and Pittsburgh crunched by Cincinnati tonight, 27-3. Well, the Utah Jazz are struggling, but tonight they found a remedy at the Target Center. The Timberwolves were flat in this one. You can't keep up with the likes of John Stockton if you're not ready to play. After some contact, he still scores. Bill Musselman tried to wake up his troops in this one. Tyrone Corbin and Tony Campbell led the Wolves, 24 points apiece for them. Campbell picks up 2 from Pooh. But when the Jazz need a basket, of course, it's going down to the post to Karl Malone, the mailman, with 24 points. The Jazz led by 14 at the half, went on to win it by 9, 103-94. Well, he was not the star of the team, but he represents what being a student athlete is all about. Former Gopher basketball guard Connell Lewis will have his story coming up next.
Can you believe this car? It's the 91 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Can you believe these features? All these options are included. And can you believe this deal? Just $290 a month with nothing down. Supreme look, supreme equipment, supreme value. The Cutlass Supreme from Oldsmobile, of course. See your new generation of Oldsmobile dealer today. After millions and millions of hours in the air, after 17 years of staying up all night, every night, so that your packages can be delivered overnight to any address in America, Federal Express has become the first service company ever to win the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. It's the highest honor in American business. And just how did we do this? By being absolutely, positively the best in the business.
Tension is mounting in the Middle East. You need to know what's going on, and you need to know now. So tune to the news leader, WCCO Radio 830. WCCO Radio and the CBS Radio Network bring you the events as they unfold, as well as compelling interviews with the experts. For news as it happens in the Middle East, turn to the radio station you trust, WCCO Radio 830.
Romania. A country struggling to rise from years of tyranny and isolation. Starting Monday, we'll begin a 4-part series about the orphans of Romania. Thousands of abandoned children left to die in an iron crib. Please join us Monday at 10 on Channel 4.
After 4 years at the university, Willie Burton now scores his points for the Miami Heat. In fact, he's an early candidate for Rookie of the Year, averaging 16.8. Former teammate Richard Coffey isn't scoring very much, but he is collecting NBA paychecks and living a basketball dream, playing forward for the hometown Timberwolves. Burton, Coffey, Melvin Newbern, and Jim Shikonjansky were the heralded seniors when the Gophers reached the NCAA's Final Eight last spring. But now, a week before the next Gopher season begins, we'd like to talk about the forgotten senior. Mark Rosen has the post-basketball story of defensive specialist Connell Lewis. The story of college basketball the way it should be.
After 4 years of excitement and achievement with the Gophers, the music died, but not the momentum.
Control, Mr. Connell.
A new year means a new career for Connell Lewis. The former Golden Gopher now wears a white collar, overseeing distribution of Cenex petroleum products.
I'll be learning for a while. The training is pretty much hands-on training. I suppose it'll be another 2 or 3 months before I'm really comfortable with the assignments and tasks that I have to deal with on a daily basis.
As a Gopher, Lewis learned patience, leadership, and a work ethic that paid off with a few key hoops. But while others starred on offense, Connell concentrated on defense, becoming known for his hard work and perseverance. Qualities that came in handy when Connell's car broke down on the way to his Cenex job interview.
Fortunately, the guy behind me, he saw what had happened, and he just asked me if I needed a lift. And I told him that I was on my way to an interview, and could he give me a road down to Cenex?
He had to hitch a ride, and yet he had left early enough to be on time for the interview, which told me his prior planning is very good. He was not going to be late.
And I don't know if he was impressed or not, but, you know, he listened and he said, good job, you know, that shows me that you're determined and you're able to get around problems. And, you know, that's one of the things that I think I'm pretty good at.
Now Connell must conquer computers, ledgers, and invoices. Business tools he tackles with the basketball approach taught by Gopher coach Clem Haskins.
He's instilled in me and a lot of other guys that, you know, the right way is the best way to do it. And the best way is giving everything that you can.
We're definitely seeing that displayed in Connell's day-to-day work ethic and This Saturdays he's put some time in, early arrivals to get a jump on the day. So we're just delighted.
Not as delighted as Haskins, who sees his play hard slogan paying off for a former pupil and the program as a whole.
It gives us a good image in the community with our program. Let people know we have not only good basketball players, but we have quality individual in our program. That means more to me than getting to the Final 8.
The Senex Rec League is a far cry from the Final 8, but that's where Cannell shoots hoops these days, and Blagan Hall is where he studies, 6 classes short of a degree that remains a high priority.
It's not for, at this point, for a job. Like you said, I have a job. It's for my personal gratification. I think that I've earned this, so why stop now?
The things we talk about every day here, they put him into his life every day, but working hard and going to class and getting that degree, and now he has a good job to show for it. And he's a role model for all the future players that come to the University of Minnesota.
Mark Rosen, WCCO Television Sports.
If only every student-athlete
Really.
had the priorities that straight. Huh?
Real inspiring guy.
Yeah, thanks for bringing
Inspiring
that to
to
us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, that's the news for tonight.
Hope you have a good week and a safe and happy Thanksgiving. See you next weekend.
Good night.
Hello and welcome to the Minnesota State Lottery's Daily 3 Drawing. Here to witness tonight's drawing is the accounting firm of Laventhal and Horwath. The Minnesota State Lottery official tonight is Don Masterson. Our first digit is 6. The second digit is 3. And the third digit is 5. Numbers drawn are not official until validated and...
It could play with any AA school. This year, that team is Fridley. In the Class A title game going on right now, Fridley has jumped all over Sartell. Fridley's speedster Paul Stepanski left all the Sabres behind on this runner on the left side. Just what Sartell had to fear. Stepanski getting behind its defense. 72 yards on the run. Fridley scores again to lead it 14-0, and they're driving for another touchdown right now in the second quarter. Fridley over Sartell, 14-zip. In Class B, De La Salle led Bird Island, Lake Lily, and Olivia District 14-7 with a half minute to go. The Warriors' Jason Harrier scored from a couple yards out. Now they trail just by 1. They'd kick and go for the tie in overtime, right? No, they wouldn't. It's a fake. And Jamie Steppel is wide open in the corner of the end zone. Where was De La Salle's defense on this? The 2-point conversion and the win with about 20 seconds to go. A bold decision pays off for Bold. Bird Island, Olivia, Lake Lillian District wins Class B over De La Salle. Monoman has the tradition, and tonight the Indians have a second state championship trophy. Jason Miller beat the Becker defense 3 times for touchdowns. Monoman dominated what looked on paper to be a fairly even matchup, beating Becker 27-7 in the Class C title game. Another Miller took over the 9-man championship. Hills Beaver Creek's Chad Miller set a prep bowl record, rushing for 217 yards, scoring 3 times. Still, the Patriots had to hold on to beat Argyle in this one. The final was 28-21. Hills Beaver Creek finishes the season unbeaten. Well, the Chicago Bears don't have that new stadium they want so badly, but they do have a new bubble practice facility, reminiscent of the one the Vikes have. And heading into Sunday's game at the Metrodome, wouldn't you know it, the Bears say they've grown to love the great indoors.
I love playing in domes. It's like playing in your bedroom, you know. There's no wind. It's nice and dry.
What's going to help us is being at home a Sunday, a big game against Chicago, a full house, and hopefully a rowdy house.
And Dan Fouts and Vern Lundquist will broadcast that game starting at noon Sunday here on Channel 4. And Dan Fouts joins us now a little early for some analysis. Dan, the Bears weren't supposed to have a quarterback that could lead them to such a good record this part of the season.
Well, the thing that Harbaugh has done is he's learned what his limitations are, but he's also been able to hand the ball to Neil Anderson and Brad Mustard and then fake the play action and throw the ball deep. So everything the Bears have tried this year with Harbaugh has worked.
Do you believe they're in the caliber of the Giants and the 49ers?
Well, you know, they're 9-1, and if they weren't in the same conference with the 49ers and the Giants, they'd be selling Super Bowl shuffle tickets again like they did 5-6 years ago. The Bears are number 1 in time of possession. They're number 2 in defense. They are up there. They're leading in takeover ratio. So the Bears have the statistics to say that they're as good as the Giants or the 49ers. They just don't have the record.
And quickly, your thoughts on the chances for the Vikings tomorrow, Dan?
I think the chances are awfully good because the Bears are banged up. The Vikings are on a roll. They won 3 straight, and it looks like the Vikings are starting to play the ball that all the Vikings fans have hoped for all year.
Okay, well, thanks for stopping down to our studios. Dan Fouts. The Gophers still have a remote chance of making the Peach Bowl, and they could keep Iowa out of the Rose Bowl by beating the Hawkeyes tomorrow at the Metrodome. And the Gophers hope to retain possession of the prize pig they play for every year.
Floyd to Rosedale means something. We enjoy having it and enjoy letting Floyd get a little culture for a while, you know, being up here in Minnesota, and so we intend to keep him.
Nearly half the dome will be filled with Hawkeye fans tomorrow, which could lead to the Gophers' first sellout of the year. The Gophers' worst loss of the year came at Nebraska, 56-0 blowout. The Cornhuskers learned what that feels like today, losing 45-10 at Oklahoma. Yes, the Sooners' Mike McKinley scored 3 touchdowns today, going 48 yards that time. So Nebraska gets hammered by the Sooners. And we'll be back with more of the 6 o'clock news in just a moment.
Your Greater Twin Cities Nissan dealer is a man with a mission. A mission to bring you cars and trucks that are right on the money when it comes to style, right on the money when it comes to performance, and right on the money when it comes to money. You know, another car dealer might call this mission impossible.
Strictly by accident. However, I will be cheering.
You'd fit right in at that party over at the hotel, though, that's for sure.
I know.
Gopher hockey team playing tonight, though, before the Gopher football team tomorrow. And the hockey team looks rather comfortable with its new #1 ranking, beating Michigan Tech 7-2 tonight at Mariucci Arena. Balanced scoring the key to the Gophers' unbalanced record, which is 9-0-2 after tonight's win. Ken Jernander got things going with a breakaway goal in the first period, but hustle is where the Gophers really excel. Tom Peterson's shot will be stopped, but Jason Miller swoops in for the rebound, and the Gophers were on their way to that easy 7-2 victory. About the same size crowd, around 7,500 tonight at the Met Center. Same results, too. North Stars' Brian Propp backs his way in near the crease and scores, but the big scorer for the Stars tonight, Brian Bellows. Alf Dahlen saw him bearing down on the net, caught him on the fly. One of 3 Bellows goals. Stars win it 6-4 at the Met Center. Well, the College Basketball Classic turned into a relatively ordinary affair when Arkansas lost its composure tonight in the NIT Finals, blowing a 6-point lead over Arizona. Opened the door for the Wildcats, and they have plenty of talented players to take advantage. Back-to-back alley-oops followed up 2 Arkansas technicals. Suddenly, the Razorbacks' 6-point second-half lead turned into a 12-point defeat. Number 3 Arizona over number 2 Arkansas, 89-77 in a game that should have been a little bit closer. Unranked Oklahoma, boy, that sounds strange. Did something even stranger today in Norman, blowing out 10th-ranked Nebraska 45-10. Mike McKinley scoring 3 times for the Sooners, who handed the Cornhuskers their worst loss in 22 years. Last year, the Gophers crushed Iowa by nearly the same score. Colleen, remember that? A 43-7 blowout in Iowa City. Tomorrow, the Hawkeyes go for revenge and a trip to the Rose Bowl, in addition to possibly reclaiming the coveted pig these teams play for every year.
Floyd to Rosedale means something. We enjoy having it and enjoy letting Floyd get a little culture for a while, you know, being up here in Minnesota, and so we intend to keep him.
Kickoff is scheduled for 1:30 tomorrow afternoon at the Dome, and we'll be right back with today's results from the Metrodome, Prep Bowl scores and highlights next on a championship edition of Prep Sports Report.
When Road and Track magazine went looking for the best car between 17,000...
Here we are.
WLTE Light FM 103. Perfect for spending the day. To have on at work, keep you company at home, to unwind in the car.
Soft as an easy chair.
Soft light music, less talk, so you can spend the day. This is the one. Light FM 103, WLTE.
To be young and #1, the sounds of victory, courtesy to champions. It could only be the Prep Bowl, where 5 state champions took center stage today. The final chapter of fall sports for 1990 coming to a close. Anoka facing Elk River right now to decide the Class AA football championship. Elk River, the underdog in this one, came out with confidence. Brian Riggard put the Elks up 7-zip on that 2-yard run. The Elks needed a strong start. Anoka struck with 3 straight, however. The Tornadoes living up to that #1 ranking. Brooke Parent to Jeremy Loritz. It's worked all season, and it worked tonight. That made it 19-7. The Tornadoes have hit, doing extensive damage to the Elks tonight, leading it 19-7 in the third quarter at the Metrodome. Fridley walloped Sartell 34-12 in the Class A championship. The big question in that game, could Sartell quarterback Craig Sauer play after sustaining a knee injury last week? Well, he did, but the Tigers were just too much. Paul Sapansky, he's gone over 1,000 yards 3 years in a row, went 72 yards on this run. That is a Prep Bowl record. And that started the scoring. Fridley suffered 3 losses this season, but never played better than in the playoffs. Now, just before the half, the Tigers gave Sartell the hook, or could you call it the hook and ladder? Terry Martinson to Lindquist to Hermanson, 28-12 at the half. The Tigers win the Class A title.
Great. We've been wanting this all our life. Since 7th, 6th grade, when our team came together, we wanted it.
The thriller of the day came in Class B, Bird Island, Lake Lillian, Olivia District, or Bold, taking on De La Salle. De La Salle's explosive offense looked like it might win out in this one. This looks familiar. Number 34 breaks it in the open, loses a shoe a la Herschel Walker, only this time it's David Sukup. And he did break it all the way. The Islanders led it 14-7, but Bold got a final shot. Jason Harrier caps the drive with the touchdown. And after he scores, that leaves a decision. Go for 2 in the win, or the extra point and the tie in overtime. Well, the team talked the coach into a fake extra point, and Thomas Burkhart will step up and hit a wide-open Jamie Steffel in the corner of the end zone. De La Salle made a final run with a long kick return, but came up short, and Bold wins Class B 15-14.
We knew he'd come back and do it. Came back and forth. Just kept pounding on him, and we knew he'd go through at the end.
Just the thrill of your life?
Yeah.
Barking signals in the Metrodome took its toll, I guess. A thrill provided for the folks in Monoman. Jason Miller, this afternoon against Becker, he broke through the defense 3 times for scores. The Indians marched through Becker most of the day. Miller, just a junior, setting the tone. Becker came in unbeaten, and that may have been part of the problem, never having to play from behind. Whatever the case, Miller and Monoman win it 27-7, the school's 2nd state championship.
Football is a big thing in Monoman, and our coaching staff is just excellent, and it's just a big tradition in Monoman football.
And another Miller stole the show in the 9-man championship. Hills Beaver Creek's Chad Miller, a Prep Bowl record, 217 yards rushing. He also scored a pair of touchdowns as the Patriots beat Argyle 28-21. They actually had to hold off a final drive to do it, but most of the day belonged to Miller. He looks kind of like the Gophers' Chuck Rios. Tonight, he's king of Hills and Beaver Creek.
Oh, it's great. We've never been this far. 3 years in a row we got to the semifinals, but this is the best.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
And it's still 19-7, Anoka leading Elk River tonight. What a sports weekend. Gopher football and hockey tomorrow. Sunday, you've got the Vikings, you've got the Timberwolves, and you've got Gopher basketball. And Monday, if your wife doesn't like sports, you've got some papers to look at.
Or your husband. Or your husband doesn't like sports.
Or your husband.
Absolutely
All
right.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Getting rid of this outfit.
No chance. No chance.